Oh.
Just making sure that you can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see your screen, Shiva.
Why do I see someone else's slides being presented? Vitor, I think you have to wait. When it's your time, I'll let you know, and then you can share your screen. Is that okay with you? Can you please, don't share anything at the moment. When we call your name, you will be sharing your screen with us.
Who is the host of this? Jingjing, can you remove other people's presentations? Or change?
I am changing it, but again, Vitor, can you don't share anything? Just
Vitor,
hold on.
não apresente sua tela nesse momento, tá? Pessoal, tá. Porque se você apresentar sua tela, vai sobrepor na nossa. Aí só na hora que você for apresentar, que aí você apresenta. Beleza?
Ah, tá. Eu acho que já era agora.
Aí depois, primeiro vai ter a palestra, aí depois da palestra que eles vão chamar os palestrantes um por um.
Ok, obrigado.
Boa noite, posso tirar uma dúvida?
Sim, pode falar.
É porque a minha orientadora, ela não recebeu um link para acessar, ela gostaria de entrar pelo menos para poder ver a minha apresentação, que será às 8h30. Eu queria
Pode
saber
passar
se
para
tem...
ela.
Posso passar o
Recebeu
mesmo
o
link que eu
link?
recebi?
Uhum, isso.
Ah, então, obrigada.
Alrighty, I think 8:03. We shall start. Is anyone else waiting in the lobby, or are we good to start? Okay. Alrighty. So with that, let's kickstart our lovely symposium. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 WREN Symposium. I'm truly delighted to be here with you today as we explore how research, when driven by collaboration, can make meaningful progress towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. My name is Shiva Pedram, and I'm a lecturer and research fellow at the College of Engineering, Science and Environment at the University of Newcastle. It is an honor to be your moderator for session 1, where we will hear from an inspiring lineup of researchers. Each presenter will share their work and insights, showcasing how their research contributes to the UN Sustainable Development Goals across diverse disciplines and through impactful collaboration, both locally and globally. We are in for a thoughtful and engaging session, and I hope you leave feeling inspired, challenged, and energized by the ideas and connection we will explore together. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting today. The University of Newcastle acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land within our footprint areas, the Avo Baka, Darkinjung, Birpai, Warimi, Wunarua, and Oara nations. We also pay respects to the wisdom of the elders past, present, and emerging. I would like to extend this acknowledgement and pay my respects to Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islanders people here today. I recognize that First Nations sovereignty was never ceded. This continent always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Now I want to take a moment to introduce the network behind the symposium, behind today's symposium, the Women's Research Engineers Network, or WREN. Although many of you registered for this event, some of you may not be familiar with what WREN is or what we do, but WREN is a global initiative that promotes international collaboration and supports the career advancement of minority groups, especially women researchers in engineering and related disciplines. Over the years, WREN has delivered a range of impactful events, from academic writing and career development workshops to networking sessions, and of course, our annual symposium, which brings together researchers across all career stages and countries to collaborate towards a sustainable future. And the best part, all of our events are for free and everyone can join. I may be a little bit biased here, but I can say with confidence that WREN has done amazing things and we are just getting started. If what we do resonates with you, I warmly invite you to join our network. It's completely free, and as a member, you will hear about events first and even have the opportunity to feature your work in our monthly newsletter. A great opportunity, right? For more information, just head over to our website. We would love to hear from you, and we want you to be part of our community. Now, let me give you a quick overview of what is coming up in session 1. So we will begin with symposium with opening remarks by Professor Craig Simmons to set the tone for the symposium. We will then hear from our keynote speaker, Professor Veronica Castello Branco, who will share her valuable insights about the work she has done in the field. Then we will move on to the 4 oral presentation and have 4 amazing researchers presenting their work in the field. And finally, in part 4, we will invite you to our audience to vote for the best paper from the session. So please keep your questions and feedbacks ready and make note of the presentation that stands out to you. Also, to receive the participation certificate, you must fill in the feedback form that we will share at the end of the session. So make sure that you stick around until the end. All right, with that, it is my honor to introduce Professor Craig Simmons, who will deliver our opening remarks. Professor Simmons is the Pro-Vice-Chancellor of the College of Engineering, Science and Environment at University of Newcastle and a leading expert in groundwater science. He has held key roles including Executive Director at the ARC and Foundation Director of the ARC National Centers for Groundwater Research and Training. His research has shaped water, energy, and environmental policy. A fellow of several prestigious academies, he also served as chief scientist for South Australia and contributes to global reports like the UN World Water Development Report and the IPCC. Thanks, Greg, for joining us today, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Shiva, and thank you for that very kind and generous introduction. Good morning, colleagues, and a very warm welcome to all of you joining us today. I know that many of you are joining us from Australia, but also from many parts of the world for the 3rd Annual Women's Research Engineers Network Symposium. I've been watching WREN for a while now, and a number of colleagues in my college, as you know, Shiva and the team are doing a huge amount in this space. And I have to say, I have been seriously impressed by the work that's going on in WREN, and also just how important I believe WREN is for so many reasons. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So when I was invited to say a few words this morning, I was just thrilled to be able to do so. It's a real opportunity and a real privilege for me. We're hosting the event today at the University of Newcastle. but I should acknowledge the generous support of the Theo Murphy Initiative in Australia, and also the support and guidance of the Australian Academy of Science. And certainly for my part, the University of Newcastle is really proud, and I am personally proud, to be a part of a growing movement that is not only redefining what global research collaboration looks like, but I am really thrilled because I think it's so important that we make research and the way we collaborate more inclusive, more sustainable, and much more impactful. And that is a driving force and motivation for WREN. So we're gathered here today, as you all know, under the important theme of collaborating towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And we all know this, the SDGs, and are familiar with those. But from my perspective, this theme could not be more timely, and it could not be more urgent. And whether we look at challenges such as climate change, or population growth, or clean energy transitions, or equitable access to healthcare and education, all of these problems, all of these sustainable development goals are not confined by national borders, and they are not confined by disciplinary boundaries. And for us to advance these goals and to support them and solve them, we really do need bold thinking, we need interdisciplinary thinking, we need genuine, diverse thinking. And so the work that WREN's doing is a key part of this. And that is why I think this symposium that we're having today really matters. To me, it's not just an event. I think that, as Shiva has indicated, it really is a platform. And I think it's a gold platform and a gold stage for doing a number of things, for connecting, for exchanging ideas, and I think really importantly for action. And what's really impressive about WREN is that it's a place where brilliant minds from diverse backgrounds come together. And I have seen that through what I've seen watching WREN for a while in my role here as PVC. And I have to say, and I'll say it again, I'm seriously impressed. But I think it's not about looking at just the pressing issues of our time. Gosh, we've got enough of those today around the world, don't we? But it's also thinking about and imagining and co-creating the solutions of the future. The SDGs, in a sense, gives us a shared roadmap, a shared framework, a shared vision, but it is actually through networks like WREN that we can mobilise the necessary talent, creativity and leadership, like what you guys bring to the table today in the WREN Symposium to reach these goals and to really realise them. And it's really important, and I know I'm preaching to the converted here, that we do that in ways that are equitable. Not everyone has had the opportunities that we have had. Not everyone has had the chance to go to school. Not everyone has had the chance to go to engineering. Not everyone go to university. Not everyone can be an engineer. And yet, you know, we know absolutely that there are kids out there, there are adults out there that we've met and that we know who could have, with opportunity, with a bit more financial support, with a scholarship, with a family that had a bit more money, etc., could have done what we are able to do. And I am really motivated by that. And I think WREN plays a seriously important role in thinking about how we support underrepresented regions, how we support minorities, how we support diverse groups, how we support women in areas of science and STEM that are seriously male dominated. In my college, I'm embarrassed, but I will tell you, in my College of Engineering, only 12% of the staff in my engineering school are female. The national average in Australia is, I think, around 17%, so less than 1 in 5. And yet we know that women, like men, are fully capable, competent, and can do engineering, as all of you are. doing right now. So we have a massive challenge. I would love to see a day where we have 50% at least females in my college studying engineering and academics in engineering. I was really interested in a bit of the history around WREN, and Shiva's talked a little bit about that already. But one of the things that I found interesting doing some reading before talking to you this morning was that WREN, the title WREN, was also inspired by the female fairy wren, the bird. The very little bird, symbolising the presence and importance of women's voices in engineering. And I thought that was really interesting and inspirational. And I'm sure you all know it, but certainly for my part, I can honestly, hand on heart, say that some of the biggest motivations for me as an engineer, my background's electrical and electronic engineering, then I went into earth sciences and maths and physics, but there are a number of historical trailblazers that we stand on the shoulders of. These are true giants. And just I wanted to share a couple that that really have inspired me, and I know other colleagues. Emily Roebling, who was a 19th century engineer. She was living in New York with her husband. They were building the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, but he fell ill and she had to take over the full project management and engineering of the Brooklyn Bridge to finish it to completion while her husband was ill. Edith Clark, also 19th century, the first woman to earn an electrical engineering degree from MIT. An inventor of the Clark calculator for power systems, electrical systems analysis. But even today, I have to say, colleagues, there are really inspiring women engineers that I know and have had the opportunity to meet here in Australia. Hala Zykruk, the biomedical engineer known for her work developing synthetic bone substitutes. She was the New South Wales Woman of the Year in 2018. Professor Rosa Marl, one of Australia's most distinguished chemical engineers working on photocatalysts, nanomaterials, clean energy technologies. And Rose was the first female engineer elected a Fellow of the Australian Academy of Science. It's just so inspirational to see this happening. I also really am interested in the work and fond of the work of Veena Sahawala, who is an engineer at the University of New South Wales, and she's an inventor, an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, an engineer, and a scientist. She does it all. I don't know when she sleeps, but she's also invented green steel and certainly contributed. So using recycled rubber in steel. And she's turning a whole pile of different waste products into valuable materials. So really pushing forward with not just the theory of circular economy. We hear a lot about the circular economy, but she's actually doing it. She's living and breathing how engineering can actually realise sustainable manufacturing and the circular economy. So WREN is seriously important, because you are growing, enabling, and building the next generation of Roses, of Veenas, of Halas, etc. And I know that you are on the call today, just sitting there waiting. So I look forward to seeing many of you grow. We know that WREN has secured over $1 million in external funding in just a few years. It's hosted over 15 impactful events, and it's contributing voices and at decision-making tables across various disciplines and continents. I just wanted to really end off by saying a few things. I don't think we can decouple SDGs and equity. Those two issues often get talked about in different forums, different meetings, have different KPIs. They're all interconnected, interrelated, highly coupled. We can't advance sustainable development goals unless we tackle and advance our equity, our diversity and inclusion agenda. Those two things have to go together if we're to achieve even moderate progress in SDGs. And we know Newton told us that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. We know that is true in the way science works. We know it's true in the way that humanity works. We are part of a whole chain. And we may think we're just a tiny, tiny bit, a tiny, trivial, perhaps even insignificant bit. But I can assure you, and the days where I felt really like, what am I doing? It's not making a difference. That 10 years down the track, you find out that something that you did 10 years ago that you thought had no impact actually did have an impact. And you will have heard the phrase, you can't be what you can't see. And I think that's an incredibly important role for WREN in the fact that you are creating visible role models, visible inspirations, visible motivations for other males and females, young and old, to see the possibilities. You just don't know when someone sitting in a room watching what you're doing, who might then 20 years later tell you that the talk you gave made them get into engineering. I've had that happen in my own career. It's very humbling. You may touch people's hearts and minds at a time where you have no idea that you're doing that. So being visible like you are today, showing up like you are today, is so important. And I really think it's critical what you're doing here. I mean that genuinely. It's not just a women's issue, colleagues. I say this to my college all the time. It is not just a you problem. It is not just a women's issue. This is all of us, male, female, non-binary, everyone, all of us as humans have to work together. So I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited for you that you're a part of the WREN network. I think that with what you're doing and what you will do in your careers, both within WREN and outside of WREN, is setting a stage for just a huge change in how we think and how we do as engineers. And ultimately, if we do this thing, do it well, we're creating a much more just, sustainable and a collaborative research world, and I hope also a much better planet for future generations. So I wish you well, good luck, and I look forward to hearing how you go today, colleagues.
Wow, thank you so much, Greg. That was so inspiring and energizing hearing from you. I know you have to leave, but maybe I open to the floor to see if anyone has any burning questions. Does anyone have any question for Craig that you'd like to ask? Okay, thank you so much, Greg. It was wonderful hearing from you. I think you all left us very inspired. Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you so much for what you're doing as well. I really, really value what this group is doing, and thank you for the opportunity to come and say a few words today. And again, I'd like to hear some of the key outcomes, some of the key actions, and also ways that the university can support WREN going forward. So well done.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. Bye-bye.
Wow, very wonderful hearing from Craig. With that, I will continue. So it is now my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Veronica Castelo Branco, joining us all the way from Brazil. Professor Castelo Branco is a civil engineer and a long-standing faculty member at the Federal University of Ceará, UFC, where she has been teaching and researching since 2009 within the Transportation Engineering Graduate Program, PETRON. Her work focuses on transportation infrastructure with expertise in the characterization of pavement materials for roads, railways, and airports. Her research strongly emphasizes reducing environmental impact in transportation and enhancing the functionalization of infrastructure. Professor Castelo Branco brings a wealth of international experience, having served as a research assistant at the Texas Transportation Institute in the United States, contributing to projects funded by the Federal Highway Administration and the Asphalt Research Consortium. In Brazil, she has led or contributed to major research projects supported by Petrobras, CNPq, FUNCAP, and Eneva. Beyond her technical expertise, she is a passionate advocate for engineering education and gender equity in STEM, making her an incredibly fitting voice for today's symposium theme. Thank you so much for joining us, Veronica. I'm going to stop sharing, and floor is all yours.
Thank you, Shiva. Can you all hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yes, good. Let me share my screen. Not this one, maybe this one. Can you see my screen now?
Yes. Yes.
Good. Okay, let me start my time. First of all, I'm really happy and glad to be here with you all today. By the way, it's almost 7:30 p.m. in Brazil, and then it's good night here, but I know that for others it's good morning or good evening or good afternoon. Doesn't matter. I hope everybody is doing well. And I'm especially happy for being in a conference, in a symposium like that, where we can share, as a woman, our research topics and activities, right? Let me give you a brief agenda of what I plan to talk with you all today. Okay, I'm going to start with a general presentation, telling you where I am now, a little bit about my city, which is called Fortaleza, about the university that I work on, Universidade Federal do Ceará. It's a Federal University of Ceará, and about our graduate program, which is called PETRAM. I'm going to present to you our research group, which is called TRAMA. TRAMA in Portuguese stands for Transportation and the Environment. And I'll go a little bit deeply on the topic of this speech, which is the 3G challenge that we always facing in the transportation engineering field. And I'm going to talk more about them later. Some concluding remarks and few references if you want to go deeply on the things that I'm going to just pass really fast because of the time, right? Okay.
Sorry, Veronica. Apologies for interrupting you. Can you share your slides again? I think we just lost it in a sec.
Really?
Yeah, that would be great if you can reshare.
I don't know what's happened. Let's see. Sorry.
But that's okay. Wonderful. Yes, we can see your slide or your screen.
Wait a minute. I don't know what's going on. Things are good when it works, right?
Now it's up. Yes.
Okay, sorry for that.
No, that's okay.
Then Shiva already presented myself. I will not spend that much time in here because you all from now know myself. I'm civil engineer. I graduate from the university where I'm a professor right now. And that's a pleasure for me, of course. And I went out to pursue my master's and PhD, travel around the country, outside country. I just came from the University of Minho in Portugal when I was visiting as a professor. I came back last month. And I'm the Federal University of Ceará for the past 16 years. And I have the areas of interest that Shiva just mentioned. And one important thing that she didn't mention is that I'm a mother of 3 boys, right? Then I'm pleased to introduce you to Fortaleza. Fortaleza is the 4th largest city in Brazil. Now we have around 2.5 million people in here. Just for you to have an idea, my state, which is called Ceará, is 1.6 times bigger than the country of Portugal, just my state. The city is in a typically tropical weather with the average annual temperature around 27 Celsius all over the year. We are all over in summertime here. And if you want to visit us, it will be a pleasure. And in Fortaleza, I would like to say that more than very beautiful cultural and natural places, especially our beaches, we also have a very unique environment for the transportation engineer. The university where I come from is called Federal University of Ceará, as I just said. And it's kind of a young university in terms of world universities, but it was founded in 1954. We are this year completing 70 years old, right? UFC is one of the leading research universities in Northeast Brazil. We have 6 graduate programs that are reached the maximum score. In Brazil, the graduate programs are scored by our federal government, by CAPES, and then 6 of them scored 7, which is the highest grade, and 9 of them reached score 6, which is kind of good also. In the graduate program where I come from, we have in the transportation engineering, we have 2 big research areas. One is called transportation systems planning and operation, and the other one is called transportation infrastructure. To make it easy for the ones that are not really used to that, the transportation system planning and operation is everything that is from the pavement above, and the transportation infrastructure is everything that is from the pavement to below, right? I'm on the transportation infrastructure side of the thing. Our research group, I put here a picture.
I think she froze.
Yeah, I think we lost her. Okay, I try to call her. Just a minute.
Peraí, só um minutinho. Peraí.
Hi, Veronica.
Hi. I don't know what is happening. Sorry.
That's okay. That's internet, right? It all happens to all of us. Totally fine.
My internet connection is supposed to be more than okay here. And I'm actually at home to avoid anything, but I don't know what is happening. Can you see and hear me now?
Yeah, we can see and hear you very well.
I hope this does not happen anymore, but let's see. Then, as I was telling, this is our group, our research group, and it mixed both areas of the transportation engineering, right? And then let's finally start the presentation. When I received the invitation for the conference, I was thinking about what can I tell to you about the transportation engineering in a way that I can connect it with the SDG goals from United Nations, and to make the talk and our conversation here a little bit more interesting. Then I came up with this topic, this title, that is exploring the triple challenge of the transportation systems. And which are those challenges? They are the pollution, any kind of pollution, road safety, and social vulnerability. And of course, what is the relationship of those three challenges with the urban road infrastructure? This is a challenge that I'm facing together with some friends from Brazil and also outside Brazil. Okay, the impacts of human action tend to intensify other problems, right? I would say water scarcity and food production, quality of life and health, structure of ecosystems, and cities and infrastructure. Everything that we do as human can intensify those things in terms of make it much more challenging. I live in a big city. I don't know how many of you that are listening to me today also live in big cities. But as I said, Fortaleza is the fourth biggest city in Brazil. And we face a very big urban chaos. I even put here a small piece of a song that is well known in Brazil from Mano Brown. The name of the song is Men on the Road. And he says that a little piece of hell, this is where I am. And he is talking about the periphery where very poor people lives on. Okay, we have, especially in big cities, social and urban inequalities. And Brazil, of course, is not out of this problem. Actually, it's very inside of it. We are a huge country with 207 million inhabitants, and more than 84% of them live in cities, almost 1/3 in metropolis. And living in big cities, we have big problems. We have high level of unemployment, high level of homicide rate, and a big difference in between life expectancies from people that lives in the countryside, from people that lives in the big cities. And we call this phenomenon as periphery exile, when very poor people are put outside of the downtown of the cities, and they have much difficult life if compared to rich people. If we took a look in our country, in Brazil, we can see very easily also a social inequality. If you look for the Brazilian map, you can see that we have two Brazils, at least two Brazils, that are separated with this horizontal line. And this is a kind of treaty of Tordesilhas between the north and northeast of Brazil and the rest of the country. North and northeast is less developed than the south and southeast Brazil. And of course, this influences the productivity capacity of the population and feeds back into inequalities. And then, how do we measure the level of development of a country? Since I'm talking about development, sometimes we think about economic stuff and the car companies and the number of the vehicles that we have, and we try to think that this is the same of having development or to be rich or to have status. But when we take a very deeply look at this, we can see that at the same time that we having cars and vehicles and transportation, we can solve or decrease some of our problems. We can also increase other problems. We all know that the transportation system is one of the biggest sources of gas and global warming level gas emissions. And we are also seeing that we are getting hottest and hottest around the decades and the years, right? And if we talk about the transport and the climate change, we can ask to ourselves, how are we in the game of the scales, right? Okay, we know that the transportation contributes a lot to the greenhouse emissions. And we also know that the road mode continues to lead the emissions. This is not especially a problem that happens only in Brazil, but in Brazil, we are very car addicted, let's say this way, okay? And emissions not only comes from the vehicles, the mobile sources, but it comes also from the road infrastructure itself, from the material production, the construction, and the maintenance, and account for between 5 to 25% of the total CO2 emissions from the transportation sector. So I have some questions during my presentation that I want to ask to you all to see if we can think together about this problem and maybe come up with some solutions. The first question that I used to ask to my students when I started to teach them about the road infrastructure or any kind of infrastructure is this infrastructure really necessary? If no, we will not increase the cost. But if yes, we have another question. How can the transportation infrastructure collaborate in building a future with more access to rights and opportunities, more safe, and with less environmental degradation? What can we do as a transportation engineers? If we look to big cities and the space that we use inside those cities, we can see that from 50 to 60% of the urban areas are occupied by roads and parking lots. Again, I said 50 to 60% of urban areas are occupied by roads and parking lots. That's too much. And at the same time, we all know that the highways are used only approximately 10% of the time. The other 90%, they are not used. And I used to ask to myself, is it smart to occupy all this space just with traffic? Then I would say no, and I'll explain why. There is a phenomenon that it was established in 1960 called traffic generation phenomenon, or to acquiring a habit through an addiction. Every time that I need new lanes, I get less congestion, the speed increases, the travel time decreases, but also the demand increases, and again, new lanes are required. And then goes on and on to this circle behavior. We used to say that adding new lanes to a highway to deal with congestion is like loosening your belt to cure obesity. It's the same thing. They struggle to improve what already exists instead of producing new existence is something that we need to think about it, okay? But then what else can we do with the roads besides allowing vehicle traffic? I'm saying this for the second time. Okay, first thing if we can do is permanent or temporary use for people. We are seeing around the world, for example, in South Korea, in France, in US, and even in my city, in Fortaleza, those pictures that you see on the right side of this slide is from, the middle one is from my city. If we can, we should use those infrastructure for permanent or temporary use for people. But if not, if we need to have the infrastructure itself, we should go to a place where we can promote more resilient infrastructure. And you can ask me, okay, Veronica, but what is the resilient infrastructure? A resilience, in terms of definition, is the ability to anticipate, prepare for, adapt to, resist, respond to, recover quickly from disruptions. Then what we are saying here is, okay, we need to have infrastructure that can sustain itself. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well. Yes.
I just listened to somebody. Okay. when we say that we have infrastructure that is resilient, what we are saying is that the infrastructure can deal better with, for example, increases in temperature, increases on the flood, for example, resistance, all the phenomenon that goes together with the weather changes, right? But are there other options? Not only promoting resilience infrastructure, which is one thing that we can do and we should do, but besides that, are there any other options? Yes, there are a bunch of other options. I do not have time to talk about all of them in here. What I choose to do is just to mention to you what our research group is doing, trying to help our city to increase those options in terms of to use those infrastructure, not only for traffic, but for other functions. That's what we call infrastructure functionalizations, okay? Then for the first challenge, I'm talking about pollution. I will be more concentrated on air pollution, but not only. Pollution has to be with air, with water, noise, soil, materials, and many things. But in terms of air pollution, 99% of the world population breathe poor quality air. That's not myself that is saying this, but the World Health Organization that is saying that, okay? And then what can we do? For example, one option to decrease or to collaborate to decrease air pollution is to promote photocatalytic pavements. Photocatalytic pavements, it's a kind of pavements where we put on the top of the surface of the pavements a solution designed with nanomaterials that can react with the air, the oxygen of the air, and with those reactions, chemical reactions, they can decrease, they can mitigate the level of the pollutants. For example, NO2, SO2, and some volatile organic compounds also, right? Another thing that we can do in terms of air pollution is to use our vegetation as bioindicators for green corridors. You may had noticed that we have a lot of vegetation, close by to our roads, to our bike lanes, to our, I don't know, whatever we used to move. And in this research that we did together with some colleagues from France, from Gustave Eiffel University, we studied some leaves to act as filters for us to diagnose the level of pollutant, the particulate matter that comes from the road infrastructure. That's one thing that we can do also. We can also recycle our own roads. We call it REP. REP is recycled asphalt pavements. That's just the pavement itself. When it gets old, we go to the field and we remove this old pavement and to reuse them on new infrastructures. That's what we call REP. And then we are starting some REPs to incorporate in our new infrastructures in Brazil. I would say that Brazil needs to develop a lot in this field, but we started to have some recycling process in pavements, not only on the surface of the pavements, but on the whole infrastructure. That's another thing about pollution. We can also work with noise pollution. You have made notice that the transportation collaborate, unfortunately, to the noise pollution, especially in the cities. And we can work with the pavements itself to decrease this pollution. You may ask me, okay, Veronica, how can I do this? We can, for example, use some porous structures, and with the porous itself, we can decrease the noise pollution in the city. This is for the picture that you are seeing is on my hometown. We are using the porous friction courses surfaces to decrease the level of noise, and you can see that it is working. On the green line on the bottom of your right side, we can see that when we use the porous friction courses structures, we have lower level of noises. In terms of the second challenge, we are now talking about road safety. Traffic is the 8th largest cause of death in the world. And again, I'm not the one that is saying this, is the World Health Organization that is saying this. In terms of traffic deaths in Brazil, sometimes we kill more than some worms. I did a comparison here between the Syrian worm and the traffic deaths in Brazil on 2015, just for you to have an idea. And of course, this is not happening only in Brazil, it's happening all around the world. India, China, US, Nigeria, we need to take care of this because traffic death sometimes kills more than some diseases, right? And what can we do? We can change the surface properties of the pavements and to increase the friction coefficient to avoid the crashes, or at least to help to avoid the crashes. This study was done by one of my students that is now in US, Renan. Renan used the digital image processing techniques to assess the tire pavement friction after construction, during wet conditions, dry conditions, and then we came up with the coefficients of friction, and then we went to microscopic simulation with some colleagues from the road safety field, and we start to think, okay, which kind of materials, which kind of aggregates, which kind of composites should we use in the top of our surfaces to increase our coefficient of friction, and then maybe in terms of infrastructure, we can help a little bit to decrease the traffic deaths and traffic crashes, whatever, and that's really, really nice. Another study about road safety now is doing by another student, Alison. Alison, different from Renan. Renan worked inside the city. Alison is work outside the city on highways. We are tracking the vehicle trajectories. We put some low-cost devices in the vehicles, and then we track acceleration, speed, and try to, in curves where we face very high number of accidents. And also we map the surfaces again. We did a 3D map from the surfaces in the curves, and we try to correlate this with the accidents, and more than that, to draw some alternatives to collaborate to decrease this number of accidents in terms of road infrastructure, road projects, and try to go for a driving behavior that can help us to decrease this issue. Another student that we have, Vito. Vito is putting together the both challenge that I just mentioned to you, air pollution and road safety. I used to like to mention that Vitor is trying to build what we would call the environmental friendly ways, because he is at the same time that he is developing a low-cost electronic device for evaluating road functional conditions, if it has defects on the surface, which are the pavement materials. He is also trying to track vertical accelerations and the vehicle gas emissions. And then at the end of the day, on his PhD, what he will be trying to say is, okay, can you please select your route, your trajectory, your path, not only thinking about speed or time of travel, but can you please choose your route, also thinking about which one is less aggressive to the environment, which one your vehicle will emit less pollutants to our environment. That's his goal, and I really like to say this. The third and the last challenge is the social vulnerability. This is the one that really makes my heart to shake. Those three pictures are from Brazil. I don't know if you heard about the catastrophe that happened last year in Porto Alegre, but it's really, really sad to see this. We have 3 billion people living in places vulnerable to the climate crisis. Only 10 countries together, and include shame of us, including Brazil, are responsible for the greenhouse gases emissions. And 2 million people have died on the past 50 years due to the climate disasters. Then what can we do in terms of floods? This picture is from Porto Alegre, the brown one on your left side. And in our group, we are trying to think in sponge city solutions, on the solutions based on nature, to help our city with urban drainage and floods. And the way that we are trying to do this is trying to think about porous friction layers with high air void contents that can also decrease the noise, as I just showed to you, but also to help on the urban drainage and floods. Another thing that we are doing right now, together with people from US, is trying to thermochromic functionalization of pavements as a strategy for urban heat island mitigation. This is a PhD study also. And since we have very large urban areas covered by pavements, what we are thinking is, can we functionalize those pavements with nanomaterials that can change the properties of the surface and change a property, what is called albedo. Albedo is just a relationship in between what we reflect and what we observe in terms of energy on the pavement. And with that, we can help to decrease the temperatures inside cities, big cities. On your right side, you can see how our city is getting hot and hot from the map. And we are also working in the lab developing the functionalization solution, but we are also working with computer simulation to see if what we are thinking, what we are production in terms of solution, it's really decreasing the temperature. Our first simulations are, I would say that we are happy to see that we are, yes, we are getting some decrease in temperatures, and every single half of a degree Celsius is important for us. In terms of the probability of a pavement to be in a good condition in everywhere in a city, we cannot say this, because we know that in big cities, in big urban areas, we used to have a better infrastructure on the places, the regions of the city that are more, I would say, full of rich people. And we have a lower or worse condition of our infrastructure on places on the periphery, on the place that we know that poor people live, unfortunately. And then we are trying to align the climate action plans inside Brazil with the SDG goals, and to enhance the efforts of municipalities, the cities, in mitigating and adapting to climate in terms of transportation. Then we had looked from 10 cities in Brazil and checked to their climate action plans to see if they do have actions in terms of transportation. One exercise that we did, like in the beginning, this study just finished in the beginning of this year. We went through a bus line. This bus line is the biggest line in our city, which is called Grande Circular. Grande Circular has a 60 kilometers in extension, 60 kilometer in extension. And this line goes through all around the city and pass through places where we have different human developed index. And unfortunately, we accept the hypothesis that places where we have higher human developed index, we have better infrastructure, and places where we have lower human developed index, we have worse infrastructure. This is something that we are doing just to diagnose the city and then can offer to the municipality some options to change the situation, right? Other things that I also consider options to decrease the vulnerability is, for example, to invest in other modes of transportation. In cycle lanes, Fortaleza is expanding a lot in terms of cycle lanes. And we are trying to monitor the comfort on those lanes. We are also investing in railways. For Brazil to invest in railways is very smart because we have a huge country, and for long distance and long and very high heavy hauls, we should choose railways, and we need to develop much more in this field in Brazil. But anyways, I had mentioned all of this to you, all of those options, and now I'm almost getting to the end of my talk because I'm really anxious to see and to listen from you what you think about that. I have one or two questions lasting to you. The first one is, but where should we look anyway? I gave some options, right? What does it mean to say that a city is smart? I do not like this concept of smart cities because I really think that the current focus should be on the creative and sustainable city, which of course can make the use of technology, but we cannot accept the process without the participation of its citizens, right? And we need to deal with mobility and transportation because this is part of the process in the motion indexes. I would love that we can also remember our ancestral people. And I came here with a sentence that says it's more technological to protect the river than to create a machine to clean it later. This is an ancestral technology. What I would like to say is that the best option will always be to avoid the challenge from the very beginning. If I can protect the environment, will be much better and much easier than try to repair it, right? And in terms of transportation, nothing we can do about mass transportation can match the effect we will have if we reduce the need for people to move. Then nobody here moves because he or she wants to move. We move because we need to, in terms of people or in terms of food or in terms of anything that we need to move. And then this is an issue that is related with social spatial accessibility, right? In terms of climate injustice, the problem is much bigger. We have differences in terms of regions, continents, countries. We have differences in terms of financial level, differences between rich and poor people. We have racial issues from white to Black people. And we also have, since we are here in this conference, we all know that we have gender issues. Other than those 4 issues, we also have generation issue. As I said in the very beginning, I'm a mother of 3 boys. And I don't know about you all, but I'm really, really worried with the country that I'm left into my kids. The International Panel for Climate Change already told us that people that are born right now will receive a world much hottest than the world, for example, that I received with 46 years old. And for sure, this is a complex future challenge And as a complex future challenge, we'll need a global team. I'm glad that we are all here together as a global team trying to think about it. I'm left with some references that I'm going to leave with the conference organization if you want to go deeply and to know a little bit more about our research. With that, I would like to finish my talk with a suggestion for reading. This book from Professor Frederick Otto, is a brand new book. She's from Germany. And the book is called Climate Injustice, Why We Need to Fight Global Inequality to Combat Climate Change. We cannot say that climate injustice is a matter of fact of the climate. Is it caused by the inequality? And then my goal here is to change the system, not the climate. I would like to thank you all for your time, for your attention, for the invitation. If you want to know a little bit more about our group, we are in Instagram with Trama UFC. And also we have a website, www.tramaufc.com. All my contacts are in here. I'm glad to discuss with you all, not only now, but whenever you want. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Veronica. It was very inspiring hearing about all the great work and research you have done. There are some questions in the chat that I will read, and it will be great to hear your response to those. Do Brazilian or international laws allow the use of rap in high traffic roads? Are there any limitations?
It depends on the state. In terms of Brazil, as I said, we are really behind on this. But for example, in my city, we allow up to 10% of REP, 10% of recycled material in a new infrastructure. But I know, for example, São Paulo allows more REP on their infrastructure. I believe something around 25 to 30%. Other countries, for example, US does not allow any new infrastructure without a recycling material on the infrastructure.
Interesting. Very interesting. The second question is from Lillian. In your opinion, which of these possibilities for the contribution of the transport infrastructure to sustainable development goals will be the most urgent one?
That's a very tough one, because I love all of them. Well, I like to say that the first possibility, the best one, is to have very good projects, to have very good construction process, and very good maintenance process. That's the best thing that we can do for our environment, right? But sometimes we need the infrastructure. I like the recycling, because I think we must do this. It's our recycled product. We need to be worried about that. But I also like the thermochromatic solution, because I think we need to decrease the temperatures in the cities, and thermochromatic solutions can help a lot.
Yeah, very good. The next question is actually from myself. You mentioned about number of road safety solutions, and I was just wondering, has the impact of any of those solutions been measured to see to what extent they can contribute to enhancing the safeties? Or is it at the moment at the theoretical stage and we are still exploring?
The people from the road safety side, researchers, of course, they deal with many issues, right? With psychologists, they work with driver behavior. It's a human phenomenon. But if we kept all the other variables constant and then if we change the materials and the friction coefficient, we have seen that on computer simulations that we can decrease the level of crashes. In the field, we are getting real results, real data. On both studies that I mentioned to you, we checked the friction coefficient on wet and dry conditions, and we can see that we lose a lot on the wet conditions, of course, and we increase the level of crashes. On the curves outside the cities, on the rural roads, we had just diagnosed the situation. We had not changed anything, not yet, but we plan to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Thank you for that. And so the next question is, what do you think are the main challenges to implement public policies for more sustainable transportation around the world? The challenge for amazing researchers like research like this to be put effective to use. And that's a question from Julia.
As you may know, everybody knows that, okay, especially in road infrastructure, we have a lot to deal about political and economical issues, right? We are a country, Brazil, but we can see other countries in the world. We are a country that are really concentrated on the road mode. We are really car addicted. And to change this, we need to have long-term public, how do I say, public policies in long terms, not only in short terms, because whenever we change the politicians, the policy needs to be kept, right? And of course, now that we are in a very huge problem, we need to invest. In my opinion, we need to force this. We need to have laws for that. Same that we had in other fields. If we do not build laws for that, we will not get the changing.
Yeah, I agree. Regulations are very important to imposing those rules on, especially fields that people are reluctant to make changes and are very much used to the just business as usual, basically. All right, the last question is from Emily. She's saying, in Australia, we have begun reusing glass in the bitumen for roads to sands and reduce the surface temperature. Sorry, Emily, if I butchered your question. Is this something that you consider in the Brazil too?
I hadn't seen this glass in terms of reducing temperature. I'm seeing glass for road safety in terms of horizontal sign, but not to reduce temperature. But I'll look for that. That's really interesting. Thank you.
Very well, thank you. And I believe Julia has shared the Instagram page for Veronica's group. So guys, feel free to follow and hear more about the great work the team has been doing. Thank you so much again, Veronica. I know it's really late on that side of the world. It was a great pleasure hearing from you. Very insightful. Thank you. So I'll share my screen again and okay. Wonderful. So now we are about to start an exciting round of hearing from our four amazing researchers. We are going to first start with
Shiva, just a minute. Before we start with the oral presentations, I think that would be amazing. Can we just take a moment to take a screenshot of everybody?
Yes, good point.
It's for our social, so like, everybody please turn on your cameras. Marian, can you please change the viewer? I think, Shiva, if you stop sharing, it will be easier.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I can see. I'll give you guys 10 seconds to show up, please. Everybody, I know.
Turn on your cameras, guys. Give us a big smile.
Yes, I know it's late. I know you're in the pajamas. We don't mind. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, just stay there for 1 minute so I see if it's okay. Just keep on there. Wait a minute. One more.
Maybe Victor
Wait.
is.
One more. So we
No, I
get
think
everybody.
Julia, Victor is sharing. So if he stops sharing,
Victor, can
we
you
will
please?
get.
Yes. Okay. Just one more. Okay, everybody's ready? 3, 2, 1. And that's it. Thank you very much, everyone. Now we can start. Victor, you can wait until Shiva gives you the green light. Okay.
No, yeah, that's perfect, Vitor. So just to introduce Vitor Leandro Barbosa, and his topic, as you can see, is identification and removal of bacterial multi-drug resistance in wastewater treated micro. So I just pass it on to you. Floor is all yours.
Oh,
Pode apresentar agora, Vitor.
ok. Tu só. Dá para ver?
A gente está vendo o seu PowerPoint, não a apresentação ainda.
Ó. Ok. Aí.
Isso, estamos vendo. Pode começar. Espera, ainda não. Aí, pode começar.
Hello, my name is Victor. It is a pleasure to be here with you. I am a biology student and undergraduate student at the Hydraulics and Sanitation Laboratory at Unesp, Bauru Campus, Brazil. Today I have the honor of present my project to you, identification and removal of bacterial multidrug resistance in wastewater treated microalgae. Bacterial multidrug resistance is a growing global concern, especially in Brazil, where inefficient basic sanitation contributes directly to aggravating this problem. Poor sanitation favors the development of bacterial resistance to antibiotics and increases the risk of infections, as well as contributing to the contamination of water bodies. Among the factors that feed this scenario are the excessive use of antibiotics and the inadequate disposal of these compounds in wastewater, which facilitates the selection of bacterial-resistant genes, promoting multi-resistance. Wastewater treatment plants in turn also become sources of dissemination of antibiotic-resistant bacteria and resistant genes into the environment. This makes it essential to develop innovative treatment technologies. In this context, my study evaluated the efficiency of an open system microalgae photobioreactor, which has advantages such as lower construction costs, greater durability, simple operation, and pathogen removal capacity. The pond is a fiberglass built system and a metal support structure to ensure stability and operational efficiency, and is used in countries such as Israel, the United States, and China. This innovation supports sustainable wastewater treatment. The aim of this study was to remove and identify the presence of coliform and Escherichia coli multi-resistant to 5 antibiotics, penicillin, amoxicillin, ceftriaxone, azithromycin, and ciprofloxacin in wastewater from the Bauru wastewater treatment plant, treated by a microalgae in a high-rate algal pond. Material and methods. 210 liters of wastewater were collected weekly from the Bauru treatment plant. This material was initially used to cultivate the microalgae in a closed environment, with fluorescent lighting by means of phytoprospecting. After cultivation, an inoculum with 10% microalgae and 90% wash water was prepared and introduced into the high-rate algal pond. Every day, 15 liters were removed from the pond and replaced with 50 liters of new wash water, ensuring a continuous supply of nutrients to the microalgae. Daily analysis of pH, dissolved oxygen, temperature, and turbidity were carried out, as well as weekly analysis of chemical oxygen demand, total nitrogen, total phosphorus, and the suspended solids to assess the reactor's efficiency. For the isolation and identification of resistant bacteria, the samples were cultured on specific selective media, high-chromic chromogenic coliform agar for Escherichia coli and total coliforms. Sowing was carried out using techniques such as pour plate and membrane filtration, depending on the target bacteria. After incubation, the colonies were transferred to Miller-Hinton agar culture medium, using for antibiotic sensitivity tests. Bacterial resistance was assessed using the agar disk diffusion method, following the guidelines of the European Committee on Antimicrobial Susceptibility Tests and Clinical and Laboratory Standards Institute. The isolated bacteria were exposed to discs impregnated with selected antibiotic. After incubation at 35 degrees Celsius for 16 to 18 hours, resistance was determined by measuring the inhibition halos around the discs and comparing the results with the standardized values in the reference manuals. Results. Pathogen removal was 94% for total coliforms and 67% for Escherichia coli, which corroborates the results of preliminary studies by Pompey and von Spern with the same treatments in ponds. The results of the study showed that both total coliforms and Escherichia coli showed resistance to more than one antibiotic. According to the World Health Organization, this is already considered a sign of multidrug resistance. In the case of total coliforms, we observed 100% resistance to penicillin and amoxicillin, 60% to ciprofloxacin, and lower rates for ceftriaxone and azithromycin. Escherichia coli also showed 100% resistant to penicillin, amoxicillin, and ciprofloxacin. Azithromycin was the antibiotic with the lowest resistance to both bacteria, only 20%, which shows great efficacy in this case. These results are in line with previous studies. For example, research carried out in Poland with raw and treated wash water also found resistance to amoxicillin and ciprofloxacin. And here in Brazil, a study with compounds containing microalgae showed similar conclusions. In 2017, the World Health Organization had already warned about the risk of antibiotic resistance, especially to third-generation cephalosporins. In your study, both coliforms and Escherichia coli showed resistance to ceftriaxone, which belongs to this class, at 50% and 40%, respectively. Conclusions. The results indicate the microalgae photobioreactor operated efficiently, ensuring significant removal of pathogens and maintaining the appropriate physicochemical parameters. Therefore, the presence of multidrug-resistant bacterial isolates reinforces the need for continuous monitoring and strategies to mitigate the spread of antimicrobial resistance in the environment. If anyone has a question, may you write on the chat, please. Thanks.
Thanks, Vitor. Very interesting. Question from me, and also if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. What's the cost associated with the solution that you are exploring here? And the reason I'm asking is to know if it's a scalable and or at the moment it's only exploring if it's feasible.
Posso responder em português?
Pode
Responde em
traduz.
português e eu traduzo para você. He will answer in
Mas o que
Portuguese
ela
and I will
perguntou?
help him with the English.
Em relação a custo, você acha, já tem alguma análise de custo? É escalável?
Sim, tem análise de custo. Muitos estudos usaram a lagoa e mostraram que tem um baixo custo de operação, porque não precisa usar tanto material ou tanta estrutura.
Okay. He said that there are already a few evaluations, and they say that it's feasible. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's basically it's feasible. It's economically feasible. Yeah.
This type of
right.
treatment is the cheapest one, so it's, feasible.
Oh, wow, right. Interesting. Very good, very good. Well done. Excellent. Any more questions for Vitor? If not, then I'm going to share my screen real quick so then we can move on to our next speaker. So we will have Thalita Lacerda dos Santos, and the title of the presentation is Decentralized Sanitation for Social Equity and Environmental Justice in Informal Settlements.
I will share my screen. Second. Can you see it? Because I can't see you anymore.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay,
yes.
you.
Perfect.
So good evening, and good morning anyway. I am Thalita, I'm from São Paulo State University. And today I will present to you our research, Decentralized Sanitation for Social Equity and Environmental Justice in Informal Settlements. So let me start asking you something. What is the first thing you did this morning? Did you wash your face? Did you make a coffee? Did you flush the toilet? My point is, these acts all sharing a hiding foundation. They require safe water and sanitation. And only 54% of the global population has access to safe sanitation. And the consequences are waterborne disease, children missing schools, adults unable to work, and it's not just about infrastructure. This is a barrier for escaping poverty. And the gap is concentrated in informal urban settlements, like Professor Veronica said before. So in Portuguese, the name of this is favelas. Maybe you listened this term before, but in Portuguese it's favelas. So what happened? The rapid urbanization outpaces the infrastructure, leaving communities without safe sanitation. And this, it's gender disparities intensify. So women face safety risks without private toilets, and because women often take caregiving responsibilities, the lack of basic sanitation also disproportionately harms their professional and economic lives. And in Brazil, 84% of people live in cities, and yet over 316,000 people still lack proper wastewater treatment. And this is a huge challenge. but it's also a huge opportunity. And we have been talking about sanitation and wastewater a lot this moment, but what are these things? Sanitation is the service of treating and distribution water and collecting and treating wastewater. And actually, wastewater is a very proper name since it implies that something is being wasted and it's not just only water. We are wasting the opportunity to change this scenario. So it's not only about people sanitation, but using sanitation service to promote environmental education, knowledge building and sharing, social organization, community empowerment, reduction of gender inequality, reduction of racial inequality, cost reduction, and jobs creation. And we believe that to solve this problem is giving to the community a tool to transform their reality. And we use a decentralized system that is a powerful solution because they provide adequate sanitation and permit the participation of the community. So this proposal, it's a compact system that provides efficient wastewater treatment, simple installation, and low-cost operation. And for the system to work well, it must be operated correctly and periodic maintenance must be performed. So one of the goals of this project is to involve the community in the entire wastewater treatment process, from the planning to the maintenance. So we choose this system because it's simple implementation, and operation, it's simple too, and which gives the opportunity for the local community to take care out and process after basic technical training. And to implement this system, some minimal requirements are necessary. We have to develop a checklist that summarizes these main items and must be applied to each community. So, for example, if there is a community that wants to implement this system, it's feasible, even though one or more items of the checklist are missing. We just need to adapt to the specific conditions of the community with minor modification, and then technical training and implementation. So the point is community lead process from planning to maintenance. So the community drives even every step, ensuring ownership and long-term impact. So this is the point, insurance, a long-term impact, the ownership feeling. That's it. And for the community, the result will be generating jobs, reducing inequality, enhancing health and quality of life. And this action impact in several OGS, like 1, no poverty, good health, 3, 6, clean water, 11, sustainable cities. So together we can turn waste in opportunity, but one community at a time. This is the point. And I share my contacts and my friends' contact. And thank you.
Thank you, Tali. It was very interesting to hear from you. Any questions from anyone on the call? If not, we are going to move to the next speaker, just conscious of
Shiva,
time.
Emily left a question here in the chat.
Oh, yeah, right. Good. Sorry, I missed that. So I love the community involvement. Have you engaged with them so far? If so, are they excited by the prospects?
Oh, excellent question. Thanks, Emily. Well, we are trying because here in Brazil, we have a special organization in favelas, in these communities. So we need a kind of, how can I explain? we need the leader of this community accept the project, and then we can start. So this approach is the hardest thing, and we are trying. We are in this moment. We are trying to involve them and convince them, because one thing that I didn't say, I didn't express completely, is this is just for women. So the technical training is just for women. We don't want, we prefer training women and develop this, so the jobs will be for women. And probably this is the hardest thing, because the leaders are usually men. So we are in this point right now, but I will be happy if in the next Congress I can share more results with you, maybe.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Talita. If there are any more questions, feel free to reach out to Talita. And yeah, thank you again. So with that, we move on to the next speaker, Cynthia Lamzarini. And the title of her presentation is Misuse of Generative AI in Scientific Publications in Pharmacy and Pharmacology. Looking forward to hearing from you, Cynthia.
Hi, let me share the slides. 1 second. Are you seeing my slides?
Yes, we can see your slides.
Okay,
But it's not in the presentation mode, just to let you know.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because I put on the presentation mode here. Let me try one more time. 1 second. Is it okay now?
Yeah, we can see
No.
your slides.
No,
but
we can
yeah,
only
click.
see a PowerPoint. Yeah. Because Cynthia, you have to share your presentation, like present, and then give Alt tab, and then come back here and then share the screen of the presentation. If you leave your presentation and come to share your screen, we won't be able to see your presentation. Like, can you change the tab and come here to the Teams, and then when you press share again, you will see your window. Probably.
Okay, I did it. Is it working?
Not yet.
Not?
Maybe you want to stop sharing first, and then put it on the presenter mode, and then share that presenter mode with us.
Okay.
Yeah. Now have your presentations in the presenter mode.
Yes. Okay. Now I will share. 1 second.
Yes.
Okay. And now it's working?
Unfortunately not. If you click on the presenter mode, what happens? Let's try that.
I am on the presentation mode.
Interesting.
Is it because the windows you're sharing are a different windows?
Maybe you're sharing the wrong screen, but I don't think, because this to me this is not in the presenter mode.
I will try one more time. 1 second.
Sure.
When you press share here on Teams, you see like many windows.
Oh, I am seeing 2 windows. One is the window from the Teams, and the another one is my presentation.
Yeah, but is it your? Yeah, still can't see it. Weird.
When you click on presentation, what happens on the presentation button down there? The one that we can see.
I am seeing my presentation in the presentation mode. I am seeing all my my screen is on my slide. Is the only thing that I'm seeing.
Cíntia, quer tentar o PDF?
1 second.
So if you want, we can maybe invert the order of presentations. Cynthia can send one of us her presentation and someone will share for you.
Yeah, we can
Why?
share. Yeah.
Or maybe
All
your
right, then
supervisor, if she's here, she can share for you if she has your presentation.
Cynthia, I guess we move on to the next speaker, and if you can send
Okay.
your presentation to someone else, so then they can, or you can send it to any of us, and then we can share it for you, and then you can just talk against them,
Okay.
if that's okay. Yeah,
I
cool.
okay. Thank you.
Alrighty, so I'm going to pass on to our fourth presentation, Ana Gomez da Silva, and the topic is a brief study on environmental impacts caused by mine tailings in the WREN Quadrilateral region of Brazil. Is Ana on the call? Yeah, wonderful. You're on mute, Ana.
Sorry, I didn't realize that.
Okay.
I'm going to share my study real quick.
Sure. Take your time. Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, this is not what I wanted. Wait, let me try it again. Maybe it's this one? No, also not at all. Actually, this is my first symposium and it's my first time presenting I study. So I'm trying to just figure it out how to do it, but
Wonderful. So this is the opportunity for you to practice. So why not? If you click on the, do you know how to share your? Okay, wonderful. Yeah, we can see it.
You guys can see it.
If you click on present, then it should be all good. No. Go back to the Canva site.
Okay, yeah. So you guys can see it, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
so
wonderful.
Just to confirm, everyone can see me on the bottom of the screen. Can you guys see it, the presentation?
Yes, we can see the presentation.
And you guys also can hear me, right? Okay.
Yeah, Ana, there is tem uma notificação. Clica em minimizar, minimiza da direita. Isso. Yes.
Okay, so I believe now everything's set up. I'm sorry for that. So hi everyone. Good night for those who are in Brazil and good morning for those who are in Australia or in Malaysia. My name is Ana Letícia Arachevski Gomes da Silva. I am an environmental and sanitary engineering student. I'm currently on my 5th semester, so I'm halfway through the course. I study at the Federal University of Technology of Paraná, and today I'm going to show to you my study about environmental impacts caused by mine tailings in the WREN Quadrilateral region of Brazil with a focus on arsenic mine tailings. So first, I'd like to thank the WREN committee for this opportunity and also to my professor, Amanda Joan, who guided me throughout this study. Like I said before, this is my first symposium, so I'm quite nervous, but I'm really excited as well. So the WREN Quadrilateral is a rich and highly significant mineralogical region in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais. It's very important for the Brazilian economy, but for the world as well, because of the high levels of iron, gold, and other minerals that are extracted from there. And the mining activities in the WREN Quadrilateral started almost 3 centuries ago. So of course that throughout all of these years, we were going to have some environmental problems. One of these problems are the formation of mine tailings and how they interact with the ecosystem. So in this study, I wanted to see how arsenic mine tailings are polluting the WREN Quadrilateral, especially its waters, because it's a type of pollution that you can't really see. You only realize that it's happening when people are already getting sick or dying because of it. So it was a bibliographical study, and while going through the researches, I came across the data that at least 390,000 tons of arsenic waste are in local watersheds, and also that the 3 main basins in the area all have really high levels of arsenic in their waters. And also I came across another study that I'm going to explain furthermore, that we have more than 100 sample points that have revealed widespread contamination in the area. And some of the sample points are located in really poor rural communities. So it's really important for us to understand how this arsenic contamination is happening. So in the future, we can come up with better solutions, not only for this rural population, but also for the ecosystem as well. So first, I'm going to give a quick introduction to the iron quadrangle and also to arsenic mine tailings. So exploration there started in the late 17th century. It has an area that suppresses 7,000 kilometers square, and there are more than 150 types of materials. And in the year of 2022, which was the most recent data that I could find, the mineral production value in Brazil, almost 43% of it came only from the iron quadrangle. The 5 most significant mass-produced commodities are iron, gold, aluminum, and manganese. And beryllium. And in this photo right here, we have the geological structure of the iron quadrangle. Here, the green area is the Rio das Velhas supergroup, which is where which is the area that we have the most important gold ores in the region. And the blue group, it's the Minas supergroup, where we have this high diversity of minerals. And the purplish one, which is quite small, but it's very important as well, it's the Itacome group, which is where we have the most important diamond ores. Arsenic mine tailings, they are toxic byproducts left over after extracting valuable minerals from the ore. You can find mine tailings in different formations, I would say. So we don't have only arsenic mine tailings. But for this study, I decided to choose arsenic mine tailings because arsenic is a heavy metal found predominantly in gold ores. And like we saw prior in the image, we have quite a lot of gold ores in the iron quadrangle. So of course that we're going to have a pollution by it. And mine tailings are really dangerous because they contain toxic substances and chemicals as well. And they can be found in every form. They can be found in solid, liquid, gaseous forms. And they currently lack economic value and they accumulate at mine sites. For example, in Brazil a few years ago, the cases of Brumadinho and Mariana became really famous because of this accumulation of mine tailings at mine sites. And some companies, they don't know how to deal with it, and they ended up collapsing, killing thousands of people. Like I said prior, this was a bibliographical review. So first, me and my professor, we decided the main goals and objectives of the research. And then a bibliographic study was conducted to analyze the main causes and effects of mine tailing pollution in the iron quadrangle. Then we started the review, which used more than 50 relevant articles encapsulating the characteristics of the iron quadrangle, mine tailings, and their subsequent pollution. For the sources, we used Google Scholar, ResearchGate, and on a lesser scale, we also used government websites to gather extra information. Usually, I would type on the search bar words related to ores, mine tailings, arsenic pollution, and Minas Gerais geology. And then an analysis was made focusing on the 3 main topics of my research, which was the iron quadrangle region, mine tailings and the properties, and the ecological damage of arsenic mine tailings in the iron quadrangle. I put Kiev right here. It's because I forgot to say that in the beginning, but iron quadrangle in Portuguese translates to quadrilátero ferrífero. So this is why the Kiev is here. And then the results, they were discussed and summarized. So across this study, we found 4 main results. So first, nearly 3 centuries of mining activities in the region have ejected at least 319,000 tons of arsenic into local drainage systems. The Ribeirão do Carmo Basin, which is located in the cities of Ouro Preto and Mariana, showed really high levels of arsenic contamination from both past and present activity, and the city of Mariana presented atypical arsenic contaminations with mean levels varying from 350 to 706 milligrams per kilogram. The three main basins in the region, which are Rio das Velhas, Rio Doce, and Rio Paraupeba, all indicated values greater than 0.0577 milligrams per kilogram, which is almost 6 times higher than the safe consumption stabilized by the WHO, it's the World Health Organization. And the safe limit would be 10 micrograms per liter. Also, another really interesting study that I came across was a study that utilized 500 sample points. This covers pretty much all of the area in the Iron Quadrangle, and 26% of these sites, which is around 130, they all showed arsenic contaminations of 0.63 milligrams per kilogram. And this is 63 times above the WHO quantification limit. And 35 of the sample points are located in rural areas where the main sources of water supply are shallow wells or springs. So one conclusion that we can get from this is that the rural community is the one who's being affected the most. First, we have this study that used the 500 sample points, and we can see that from out of the 130 that have high levels of arsenic in the waters, 35 of them are in rural areas, but also, like I said prior, this population, they rely on, in an indirect way, from the waters of basins in order to get their clean water. So if we have 4 basins that are heavily contaminated, then this population is likely going to get really sick by arsenic. So some of the conclusions, like I said, arsenic mine tailings pollution heavily affects rural areas where the communities struggle with access to clean water and also face public health risks. This population, they largely are going through socioeconomic and educational issues, which implies that many of them, they don't know the risks of arsenic contamination. And arsenic contamination in the water courses of the Iron Quadrangle is a very recurrent problem. It's not something that it's happening only in one river or in one watershed. It's something that is happening in a large part of the area. Also, regions that are closer to mining industry have higher levels of arsenic in the waters, and also arsenic of anthropogenic origin. They can result from both current and past mining processes. Arsenic in the waters in the Iron Quadrangle, they come usually from anthropogenic origin. I would say that it's around like 95%. And they, like I said, they can come from both past and present activities. So for example, if you decide to shut down a mine, thinking that no environmental damage is going to be done furthermore, that is wrong. A lot of environmental damage it's still going to happen. A lot of studies show that not only the activities from the present mines are contaminating these places, but also the past discharge of old mines that stopped being used years ago. They are also contaminating these basins as well. So there are 2 things that we can do. First is the recycling and reuse of arsenic mine tailings. So there's a few ways to do that. First is converting them to fill materials, ceramics, tiles, and concrete blocks. There's also the use of Portland cement that is being heavily studied throughout the last years. And of course, that involves a lot of studies. You need to see the pH, you need to see the sizes of the arsenic particles, but especially the Portland cement, it's been shown to be a very good alternative. And yes, you can turn arsenic into fill material, ceramics, tiles, but if you do that with aeration and advanced encapsulation techniques, which is when you try to isolate a heavy metal from a certain material, so that heavy metal doesn't have the risk of transforming the material into something toxic. This helps to decrease pollution while promoting a sustainable economy and accelerating innovations within the civil industry and the civil construction industry. And last, the education. It's important to invest in robust environmental education in order to ensure that the affected communities acquire the knowledge about the risks and viable options regarding arsenic pollution. So yeah, that was my study. Hope you guys like it.
Thank you so much, Anna. It was very interesting to hear from you. Any questions for Anna? Okay, if not, we're going to move to Cynthia. Cynthia, are you ready?
Yes, let me try one more time. Maybe I can share the PDF. I don't know if it will work. 1 second.
Yes, it's working. Excellent. Oh,
I'll stop
but what
sharing
you
here.
had before, it was working. Yeah.
If Cynthia doesn't get it, I can try. Oh yeah, it's working.
It's working?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, thank you. Let me start. Good night. My name is Cynthia Lazzarini. I am doctor candidate in the graduate program in Translation, Drug and Medicine Research at Parmagnes Oswaldo Cruz Foundation. It's a pleasure to be here today to present the research misuse of generative artificial intelligence in scientific publication in pharmacy and pharmacology. Research institutions should create and sustain environments that encourage integrity through education to support research integrity, as declared by the Singapore Statement in 2010, a global guideline on research integrity. And the education on research integrity is aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal on quality education, which means ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promotes lifelong learning opportunities for all. Research integrity addresses a wide range of topics, including the ethical use of AI in scientific publication. This ethical use is a use according to some guidelines or recommendations, for example, chosen from the International Committee of Medical Journals Editors. And not follow this guideline may compromise the research integrity through practices known as questionable research practice and research misconduct. Examples of questionable research practice include the lack of disclosure of the use of an AI in a scientific publication, or even the inclusion of an AI as author, co-author, or in a citation. In addition, the intentional fabrication or plagiarism of tests or images constitutes research misconduct, and this practice have been performed by paper mills, organizations that fabricate and sell fake papers. In this scenario, PubPeer is a post-publication peer review platform that supports the post-publication correction through, for example, through erratum, corrigendo, retection, or removal of a paper. In this context, the object of this study was to identify PubPeer comments involving misuse of AI in publications from the areas of pharmacy and pharmacology and their correction notes. To meet this object, we did a pilot and exploratory study. First, we searched between August and September 2024 for comments on PubPeer suggesting the misuse of AI, using predefined keywords or phrases. Then we read the title and the abstract of these articles to identify which of them belongs to the health and biological science areas according to the National Council for Scientific and Technological Development classification. Then we identified which of these articles could be classified for the pharmacy and pharmacology areas according to the same classification. So you use for this classification some predefined keywords. Then we confirmed on the ChatGPT version 4 mini these areas and sub-areas using these specific prompts. Lastly, we identified which of these articles had received correction notes. We found 74 publications with PubPeer comments suggesting misuse of AI. All of these publications were published between November 2022 and August 2024. Among these publications, 16 papers were classified as belonging to the health and biological science. And out of them, 6 papers were classified belong to the pharmacology and pharmacy areas. And the ChatGPT also classified these articles as belongs to these areas, pharmacology and pharmacy, 3 of which one. And finally, 3 of the 6 papers had received correction notes. The slide shows the 3 articles that received correction notes. All of them were errata. It means the articles have minor errors that do not compromise the results or the conclusion of the study. The first 2 articles have the phrase regenerate response in the article test, and it was mentioned in the public peer comments. The first article received an errata, mentioned that they really lacked to disclose the use of the ChatGPT in the publication. The second one confirmed that they used the ChatGPT but to English editing, but they forget to remove the phrase regenerated response. But they didn't mention about the lack of disclosure of the use of the AI in the publication. The last one have a public peer comment regarding the presence of non-idiomatic phrases in the article test. However, the errata mentioned about the lack of disclosure of the institutional review board approval. So this errata mentioned that the study received the approval, and they mentioned in this errata the number of the approval, but there is no mention about the use or the lack of disclosure of the AI. This slide shows the 3 articles that didn't receive a correction note. All of the 3 articles have phrases suggesting the misuse of AI. Probably they copy-pasted these phrases from the chatbots during the scientific writing. It's worth noting that the last article removed the phrase regenerate response, and this information is in the public peer. Is another public peer comments for this article, but they didn't publish an errata about these updates. Although the results of this study are preliminary and limited to the fields of pharmacy and pharmacology, they raise concerns about important issues. The first one is that our research is copy and pasting AI content, including tests by mistake. Our research is using AI without proper review. Are there problems in the current publication process? Are correction notes minimizing the issues present in the papers? All the problematic papers received correction notes. Are authors, reviewers, and editors aware of the ethical use of AI? This study has some limitations. The first one is that the use of keywords and predefined phrases to identify papers without comments on public peers suggests misuse of AI could have limited the inclusion of papers. And this is a pilot and exploratory study, and its findings cannot be generalized beyond the specific sample analyzed. In conclusion, this preliminary study shows potential gaps in the ethical use of AI in scientific publication, raise concerns about the need to address this topic in research training at all career stages. Further studies are needed to assess both the scope of education and ethical use of AI and the prevalence of AI misuse in scientific publication in pharmacy and pharmacology. I'd like to thank Pharmaguinhas and the Oswaldo Foundation for the support in this study.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cynthia. It was very interesting to hear all those numbers. That was very eye-opening. Any questions for Cynthia? Yeah, all righty. With that, I'm just going to share my screen for the very last time. And thank you so much, everyone. It was very wonderful to hear from all of you, especially our the keynote speaker and our presenter. I know it might have been a bit of a challenge, but it was wonderful to hearing from all of you. It was super insightful. Now we have got to the interesting or exciting part that now you have to vote for the best paper. I hope you have made your notes, and now you can, if you go to the links that was shared just in the chat, and pick the best paper from your point of view. And then we also share the feedback form where we will issue the attendance certificate at the end of the symposium. Alrighty, so please again don't forget to click on the link that was shared in the chat and make sure that you submit your vote and also share your feedback. And at the end of the symposium, we will send out the attendance certificate to all the participants. One more time, thank you so much to all our lovely presenters. It was wonderful hearing from all of you. Hope you can share contact details, reach out to each other. The whole purpose of this symposium is for us to connect and grow our network. Hope to see you all in the second session. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Good night for the Brazilians. Good morning for the Australians. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Was very nice. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day or night.
Yeah.